Earlier, I spoke with Ivan Eland, a senior fellow at the Center for Peace and Liberty. I began by asking him whether the White House meeting between President Obama and Prime Minister Yatsenyuk was merely symbolic, or could there be something more substantial?
Well, I think it's mainly symbolic, but it's powerful symbolism. It was a very public meeting, and I think the U.S. is trying to put diplomatic, economic, and also public ostracism to all those things, to use all those things to pressure Russia to get out of Crimea.
Right. Side by side with that, the White House has announced that there will be a meeting between Secretary of State John Kerry and the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. That takes place in London in a few days' time. Are we looking at a serious diplomatic effort being made here?
I think so. I think there's going to be some sort of effort to negotiate, but on the other hand, there's a two-track strategy: negotiation, but putting all this pressure on the Russians.
There's also talk of sanctions. The United States says it will impose sanctions. The European Union now says it will impose sanctions. Can Russia retaliate in any way, in a way that will hurt the European Union more than the United States?
Yes, economic matters differ from military matters. Usually military matters, there's either a threat or an actual use of force. It's zero-sum. One side gets the advantage and the other side loses, right? In economics, it's mutually beneficial transaction, whether it's investment, trade. And so Russia would have a chance to retaliate. Many U.S. corporations invest there and that sort of thing. So Russia has levers to retaliate.
Right, and we're hearing now that some of those corporations are actually lobbying the White House, telling the White House, tread carefully. There are investments involved here.
Right, and I think you're probably seeing Russians on the other side saying the same thing to Putin. I think anytime countries trade with each other, there's a peace lobby in both countries, and I think that's a very good thing.
Right, you know, shortly after that meeting with the Ukrainian interim Prime Minister, President Obama came out, and he said, we're standing up on behalf of democracy. A constitutional process is in place. I mean, what are we to make of the United States supporting people who overthrew a democratically elected government in Ukraine? They did the same thing. The United States supported people who overthrew a democratically elected government in Egypt. That is setting a terrible precedent, isn't it?
Well, the U.S. regularly, if having the choice between a democratic government and a friendly government, they'll say they want the democratic government, but in reality, the United States, like many other countries, would rather have a friendly government, especially if a democratically elected one isn't playing ball with the United States, which was what Yanukovych wasn't doing. And I think also Russia has hypocrisy. They want self-determination for eastern Ukraine and Crimea, but they don't give Chechnya or Dagestan self-determination. But the U.S. has done the same thing. If you recall, all these countries, NATO countries, took away Kosovo from Serbia. They by military attack in 1999. So they're doing the exact same thing that the Russians are doing now.
There are a number of commentators, analysts like yourself. Some of them say that what we're seeing now in Ukraine is a direct result of NATO's eastward expansion, that shouldn't have happened. Was it a mistake?
I definitely said it was a mistake at the time. I was totally against it because I think you don't rub people's noses when they lose. After the Cold War, Russia, we marched forward. Now NATO is on their border. The reason Putin has so much support, and he is a Russian nationalist, is because of what NATO did. It was a mistake, and you probably would have a different leader now, perhaps, in Russia, and one more amenable to peace and commerce with the West and with everybody if the West hadn't done that.